Are we ready to
the
start?
sunset. Anyway,
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Mamamia Out Loud. It's what women are talking about on Friday, the 9th of December. My name is Holly Wainwright.
My name's Mia Friedman.
And I'm Jessie Stevens.
You will never guess what we're
What we're gonna
talking
talk
about on
about.
the
It's
show
like
today.
Christmas.
I'm so excited. We need to talk about Meghan and Harry.
Let's take our headphones off and
didn't know
just
if it would look weird.
knock on the thing if you need to talk to us.
Okay, exciting TV last night, friends. At 7 p.m. our time, 8 a.m. UK time. 3 episodes of Harry and Meghan, the world global event from Netflix, dropped. Did we watch them all at once?
Yes.
Yes,
We've
yes,
seen all
we
three.
did.
That was clear homework.
3 hours. That was part 1. Part 2 is dropping next Thursday. Another 3 hours of Harry and Meghan, the global event. If you're wondering what we're talking about, where have you been? But Prince Harry and
It
Meghan...
was too long. I'm just going to say that out of the gate. Okay.
Completely inaccurate.
It was a little bit too long, but I lapped up every minute. They signed an estimated $100 million deal. This is part of it. They've also got some development deals as part of it too. They're going to hopefully they want to make some like children's shows.
Nobody
and
wants those
documentaries.
shows.
But this
Netflix
was the
didn't want
thing
those
that
shows.
everybody wanted,
Yeah.
right? Now, it has been made by an immaculately credentialed team. Their production values are very high. It's been made by filmmaker Liz Garber. She's won awards. She's directed lots of drama as well as docos. They work with the best people. They are not messing around. Did you learn anything new, Jessie Stevens?
I did. I felt as though I learned. It was really well paced, and I felt as though in every episode I learned a bunch of new things. So, for example, I thought one of the most interesting things was how Meghan, when she sort of joined the royal family and was thrown into that circus, I suppose I'd heard this before, but it was clarified, which is like, there is no instructions.
That seems wild to
There
me.
is no one who sits you down. There is no one who teaches you how to curtsy, who dresses you, who tells you what brands to wear, which explained why there was this obsession in the early days of her breaking royal protocol. So the stockings and the bun in her hair and all this stuff we were absolutely obsessed with. The other thing I found really interesting, which has always been on the public record, but I didn't know, was how many times throughout Harry's life he has expressed enormous distress at the hounding of the paparazzi. So the time that he lost it as a young man at the paparazzi and started sort of yelling at them, I think he, almost went to punch one of them. And I loved the footage of him as a young boy at the ski resort. And he was standing there, and as kids, you can see like Eugenie and Beatrice would have been maybe like 4 and 6 or something, being asked questions by the paparazzi, and they sort of had to play nice. And then you see Diana come over and say, "Please, can you leave my family alone now?" And there was a really great line in it, which was that Harry and Will were the first generation of royals to sort of be born into this contract with the media. Of course, Charles grew up with that too, but it wasn't a 24-hour news cycle where it was opinion and people going through your bins and people living outside your house and all that. So they were the major ones, I think. Did we learn anything else about...
No bombshells. Let's take it from the top. There were no bombshells in this. There was no... I mean, this is only the first half, and I think that the second half is about when they left, and I mean, we're not even up to the wedding yet. I was exhausted. My biggest takeaway was that I was bored, and I think the fact
Mia
that
kept messaging me that she was bored.
I'm
I
bored,
was
I'm bored,
the
I'm
opposite.
bored.
Other
I'm
takeaway
bored.
actually was, I hadn't heard this before, that when she met Will and Kate for the first time, she was a hugger. And she didn't realise, there was a great line that was, I didn't realise that the external pageantry and ceremony, the formality of the royals extended to the internal.
But
I
hang
didn't
on a
realise
second.
that
These
either.
are just little tiny things, and mostly these are just her version of events, right? Because I'm sure that Wills and Kate, if they made a documentary, and I'm sure if Charles made his own documentary, everyone has their own version of events. And I'm sure the people who worked for Meghan and Harry would have a different version of events. I'm sure the Queen, if she, made a documentary, it
She
would be different again.
famously said, recollections vary.
Recollections may vary.
When she was
exactly.
talking about Harry and Meghan
and their race and
documentary.
and their racism allegation. I I learnt so much, but nothing big. So I think I learnt in a macro way about their view of themselves in the world. And I learned, it confirmed that their view of themselves in the world is aggrieved, is that they are victims of the royal family, they are victims of the media, they are victims of racism, they are victims of a whole lot of things. I'm not saying these are not true, but I'm saying their worldview is that it's us against the world, and we have been wronged by lots and lots of people, from her father to, all manner of people have wronged them. And I thought that was interesting I thought that was boring, because I feel like that's a narrative that we've heard again and again and again.
But I think, maybe I should have said this at the top to explain to people who haven't watched it what we were watching, right? Is so they gave Liz Garbus and her team unparalleled access to all their selfies and like phone messages and texts and things. Well, not unparalleled as in it hasn't happened before. I'm sure not unfettered. But so the way it works as a documentary is it follows their love story along chronologically, and it tells their story from the beginning. So the first day they met, the first time they saw each other, their first date, then their holiday they went on. And so it does all that through lots and lots of selfies, so it feels very intimate. And I think what they were wanting to do and what they stated at the beginning is that everybody else is writing books and making money and talking about this and having thoughts about this. We want to tell you what it's like from our perspective. And I think it's really interesting about No Bombshells, because earlier in the week... No bombshells yet. Earlier in the week, I interviewed Andrew Morton, who's obviously a famous royal writer, and that's going to be out on Monday on No Filter.
What time?
And he said to me, because I said, do you think, this was a few days before the Netflix documentary screened, I said, do you think over at Charles's house and Wills's house, they're running around with their hair on fire going like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And he said, no. He said, they won't be, because the royal family's position is they've got nothing else, Harry and Meghan. Like, they don't have any more bombshells because there is no more there, right? And I was like, bullshit. As if Netflix have paid $100 million for nothing. But after watching these first three, I think that what probably on a base level, what of us were hoping for is some real mudslinging, right? We wanted Harry to say, Wills was horrible, Charles was horrible, Camilla was horrible, the Queen was, well, maybe not the Queen because we don't like that. Yeah. But like, everybody was horrible. Kate and Meghan hate each other and they like had a full-on fight and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And he's not going to say that. It's clear already that although there were lots of asides, pointed asides, he didn't even mention William's name, maybe once. She did a couple of times. He mentioned his father once. Like, it's quite clear that, because also you've got to remember that we've got 3 more hours of this and then we've got a book. So in January, Prince Harry's book Spare, which is being ghostwritten by one of the most successful writers in the world, is going to be amazing. And he's got to save a lot of stuff for that too. So I feel like this was less bombshells, revelations, and more like, come sit with us and see what it's like from where we've been.
And also hear a lot of private videos and videos of
which
their engagement.
I loved all that.
I absolutely loved it. I was cheering for them. I thought it was the most likable, the most charismatic, the most understanding that I have ever felt towards them. And the reason that I loved it is because this level of fame, and I would say that Meghan and Harry would have to be 2 of the most famous people in the world, and that the royal context is its own unique context that none of us can really imagine. And that's why I find it fascinating. That level of fame means that, as you say, people are telling your story all the time. And the logic that we have, and I've seen this in the Australian media, I've seen it on a global stage, is that when you are being kicked and slandered and maligned, you have to keep your mouth shut. Because it's only going to make it worse, right? And if you want people to stop talking about you, then just shut up. And you've just got to accept that's part of the contract, that people are going to lie about you and have preconceived ideas about you that are wrong. And what I loved about this was that it was them putting like a flag down and saying absolutely not. And we can talk about whether it's propaganda or a campaign or whatever. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think it is 2 people who feel deeply misunderstood and who want to sit there, and I know a lot of people who have worked in the media who feel like this, and tell their own story, and I think it's brave, and I think they're going to get a lot of shit for it.
It's so brave for getting that $100 million. Like,
Ah.
I don't know where they find the courage to put all that money in the bank.
I thought it was what I thought was brave about it. #brave about it, Mia, is that Harry obviously isn't doing what we kind of hoped he was going to do and throw mud at his dad and stuff. But he is. But he is going the monarchy. Like he is. I mean, they would have had absolute say in the way this story is being told. And it's very clearly being told to a non-British audience primarily, because there are a lot of history lessons in there. Like, this is how this is how colonization works. This is how the empire works. This was what how Britain was implicit in the slave trade. And the thing is that you can roll your eyes about that, but that's setting out a very
I'm not
specific...
rolling my eyes about
that.
that.
No, sorry.
I think that
No, sorry. I mean, you can roll your eyes about the sort of inclusion of that as part of their narrative, but he is definitely saying this is an outdated, problematic institution, which it very much is, and it has been since the beginning, obviously.
And we've been wanting someone inside to say it for centuries, and now they are.
And Charles is on the record as saying that he wants to slim down the monarchy, he wants to do this, that, and the other, but they're never going to go as far as admit the fact.
So you guys loved it. I have very different things to say, but I don't even know where to start. So we are going to have to end this part of the conversation.
You need to tell us a little bit of what
you
think.
You've got to tell us
every punch.
Yeah. Like what is it that
I didn't watch it full of rage. It wasn't a ragey moment.
What
for
is
me.
it that you don't like
3
about
hours
them?
Of rage.
I saw online, and I promised myself after watching this, I went, I'm actually not going to read a single thing.
I didn't.
Because
read anything.
once I read things,
ideas
are planted that actually aren't there.
It was very predictable. The criticism was they're whinging, the ginger and the whinger.
And I heard someone say
the ginger and the whinger.
That she was controlling and manipulative, and I was like, that is just not what I watched. To me,
not what I watched
and we will talk about this in the subs episode that we do, but I saw two people expose what their central traumas were, which for Harry is he watched his mother be hounded to death by the paparazzi, and every time something comes up with the paparazzi, he is so triggered and so terrified, and the woman that he loved more than anything in the world, he went, I'm going to lose her the same way I lost my mum. That to me is the saddest, scariest prospect for him. Then you've got Meghan, who grew up mixed race and couldn't quite work out her identity or where she fit. And then every concern she had about that was suddenly articulated by an objectively racist British press. So you had these two people who had sort of their deepest insecurities attacked.
I understand that. I think that's really interesting, and I did learn. I learned something of the dynamic more, or it was more of the dynamics of the relationship was confirmed to me. I think it was. There's a lot of things that are being conflated to me as well. Like a lot of what they were talking about in terms of their grievance is just what modern fame looks like, and I
disagree. So we'll fight about that.
The confines of the royal family, they couldn't have their voice, and they also couldn't monetize it. That I think there was
the
a
voice
level
is
of,
more important than the money.
I think that there was it's not. I think that there was a level of disingenuousness that I've found in them from the start, in not acknowledging anything that they could have done differently, any nuances. It was all about, we are just two young kids in love, and the world, that everyone was really mean to us. There were some things that really troubled me. Like I was really troubled by the fact that Harry never thought to meet her dad. Like, she was not estranged from her dad, right? She really wasn't. In fact, she left her mother and lived with her dad through her teenage years.
But
so
they lived on the opposite sides of the world.
No. Well, they managed to meet Doria. Yeah, they were both saying, did you not watch this part of the documentary? Maybe you were asleep. I almost was. When they talked about how often they would go to see each other.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
But Meghan, they made a point saying that Meghan would disproportionately go to London.
So it's amazing that they could have sent Thomas a ticket. I'd really like to meet the father of this woman who I'm going to marry. I think that
they talked about the security and how hard it was.
That was really I just think that was really wrong.
I've got
I
to
don't
step in on the
understand
argument
that.
because if you want to hear more
Yeah.
of this, and if you are obsessed and you really want to unpack it all with us, you can do that. We are about to record an in-depth
Yes.
subscription episode about the first part of Harry and Meghan, where for those who want to get down and dirty with us, can.
We have a Google Doc of points we have to hit,
We
such
do.
as
So
the
many.
curtsy, such as the tension between the four of them that we saw
Oh,
on stage.
yeah.
And also the love story to end all love stories. I feel like they've just set a very high bar for every
Meghan's-
young person.
Meg-
Single
Meghan's-
summer of fun.
Hot
I'm
girl
totally
summer.
into
Her
that.
niece, who she
Um,
didn't invite to the wedding.
The swipes that you may have missed
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
did not.
We're doing all that.
The niece, we're obsessed with the niece.
Royal family and feminism, Doria, humour. Harry
I
apparently
thought
went
Doria
to war
was
twice.
MVP.
Yeah,
He said, geez, I went to war twice. Anyway, we loved it. If you want to
I
hear
love
more,
them, I love them, I
come
love
to the
them.
Subzep. If you are like, please stop talking about them, your wish has now been granted.